Bladestorm by Iron Crown Enterprises. Today we're taking a look at scenario number 7. I'm not going to read all of this. I think it's going to take a while to get through this scenario. It's got a 30 turn limit. 30. Woo! We have graduated, baby. We are out of the basics. We are no longer neophytes. We are using all the rules. The basic scenario is that the forces of Culm, that's these 21 guys, have to get from here to here. Oh, they also have a heroic leader. If they can get 7 guys off the table, they win. The forces of Karen, there are these 8, what do we call it? The light defenses, so these 8 lightly armed guys and 3 heroes plus the leader are going to deploy in hidden deployment. They also have a Rockfall that they can trigger at any time. It's a 2x2 template. The terrain's going to be a little awkward here because I don't have a table that looks like this. I don't have enough stuff. So we're probably just going to lay the road out and then say moving off the road is uphill. Like there's a small plain about 2 inches out from the road. These are all medium woods. So we'll talk a little bit more about what all that means here in a little bit. But here's the big thing. If you play this game with a friend, you will make a copy of this and your friend will put down where his guys are located because he gets hidden movement. This is an ambush style scenario. Now, I'm playing it as a single player game. So I'm not going to be able to get away with using hidden movement. Instead, what I'm going to do is program the strategy and tactics for the 21 guys who are just trying to get off the table. And the way we're going to do that is very simple. I'll use my official Iron Crown Enterprise Bladestorm die. And the rule here is, let's see, right down here it says they may operate, we just need to focus. Come on, boy. There we go. May operate as 3 7 combatant units or a 21 combatant unit. See how there's 21 of them? Or a 7 and a 14. So that's 3 possibilities. I'm going to roll a d6. On a 1 or a 2, we'll have 3 units. On a 3 or 4, we'll do 21. And on a 5 or 6, we'll have 1 and 2. So with a 1 or a 2, okay, so this makes it really easy. All 21 guys plus their leader, 1 single unit marching down the road, and I now have to figure out how I'm going to ambush these guys and stop them. On the left-hand side of your screen, moving from west to east, I think I misspoke earlier, we have the elite swordsmen, the warriors of Culm. These guys have broadswords and light throwing spears. I know the figures have long spears, don't worry about it. These guys are normally used as rank and file, like average Joes. They're elite swordsmen today. They are led by the hero Lord Duru. And we'll go through all their abilities here when we get to it. The complicated crew are the Karen Field Army. And normally these guys would set up first. So what do we have here? We have a unit of light infantry. They've got short swords and short bows. That's these 8 mixed group guys. Their leader is a guy named Malin, and he's got a falchion and a short bow. That's our barbarian-looking guy here. The Karens are more barbaric than these kind of standard Culm boys. Now, there are 3 heroes, and these are the guys I wanted to point out, because it's going to be important to understand that Hansor is the guy here with the mace. Dolan is the guy with the broadsword shield. He's got a bow, and then this guy here with the bow, he has got a long bow and a 2-handed sword. We've got chain armor, we've got leather armor, and then of course Malin is the leader here, and he's got some skills, baby. These guys are going to be moving at 7 inches, but as I said, normally they would deploy hidden. Instead, I'm going to just drop them on the table and then declare them hidden until they reveal themselves. There's one other ability these guys have in order to stop the elite troops. They have a 2x2 Rockfall. When I say 2x2, I'm going to go with, it says here in the description of the scenario, the table should be 65 inches by 45. I don't have a table that big. I'm going to use centimeters. I'm also using 15 millimeter figures. So that should make it work out okay. With a 65 unit table, these guys are only moving at 6 inches per turn. Now, for the first time, we're going to see something called maneuvers. If I can pass a successful morale check, these guys can double time it. They will, when they are in column, they can kind of snake along the road, so that will help them as well. And of course, because I have the movement trays, when they snake, we're just basically going to kind of do like this. We're going to play it by ear and have them move, just basically how they move. So with all that said, we should talk about what our intentions are on the defense. Where are we going to put that Rockfall? Where are we going to put these guys? These guys are just going to follow the road. So we're really just looking to pour as much damage into this unit as possible. Here is our terrain. As I showed you, this is a mountainous valley with a road running down the very bottom of it. Maybe it's a dry wash stream. 2 centimeters off the road is clear. The road itself is classed as clear. Everything else is classed as brush or medium woods. Those will have terrain effects. But first, let's take a look. Our boys from column are going to start off in column order. They move 6 inches per turn, centimeters. I'm just going to call it centimeters from here on out. They're going to zigzag along, and they're going to run into some problems here when they hit this point, because this is that deadly Rockfall. It's going to do some buku damage, and then to get past it is you're going to have to move at 1/4 speed. Not only that, but we've got our 3 hero archers hidden and waiting in ambush up here. They all have longbows. We'll take a look at their stats later. If you get past these 3 guys, then we come down to here, and this is where the final mop-up is going to take place. This is the Karen Light Defense led by Malon, the Karen leader. Now, he does have a longbow, and those 8 guys all have longbows as well. They're not great with them, but we can just sit there plinking away as these guys race off. They have a 20-centimeter range, and then a -2 to hit for each rain band thereof. One of the things we haven't talked about yet is called maneuver. When you have a unit trying to do stuff, they have a stat here called maneuver. You have to beat that score on a 3d6 if you want to move. And see, there's our move rate. There's our defense, shield bonus of +4. These guys do have that shield bonus. So altogether, in order to hit them, you need to roll a 12 or better. That's not going to be too easy. Boy, I'm really not doing a great job of holding this steady, am I? How are we going to handle the damage? I mean, do I got to track all 21 of these guys individually? Nah. I think what I may wind up doing is just rolling a d20 to see who's hit. I may roll an additional d6 every time somebody's hit. And if it comes up a 6, we'll say that hits Lord Duru, the leader. Now, these guys do have bows, so they may want to... Oh, they have spears. They don't have bows. If they get within... these spears have 3-inch range, so they're probably not going to get close enough to hit any of these ambushers, but we'll find out. Then we do have these things that I should talk about: battle order and general order. These give you bonuses in attack and defense. And it's going to be really important to note that when they're in column and they're all jammed up next to each other, in what we typically think of as rank and flank, attackers have a +1 to hit you. You're a bigger target. But when you make a morale check, you're at +1 because you're so well protected. And then likewise, again, because we are in column, our melee attacks are going to be at +1. Our defense is going to be -1. Our missile attacks are at -2, and our defense is at -2. Probably going to have to look that up and see what that means. Still with a +1 morale. So that's something to think about. As far as hot-footing it, in the advanced game, a unit in battle order moves at 3/4 speed. You got to march in time. You got to hot-foot it. They're going to move at 1/4 speed through the medium woods. We're going to avoid that. So even in the clear zones, and anytime you move through brush, you're moving at half speed. And I guess I should point out that because we're in this mountain valley, if our ambushers want to move, they're going to have to move parallel to the roadway. We're just going to call it an even slope in this case to make things easy. If he wants to move over and then move up, when you move up, you do have to deal with the fact that you're moving up slope, 3/4 speed for those guys. And they are a little faster, so it might not make any difference. We also need to take a look at what this means for movement reduction, and then you've got for melee defense. If you're shooting through the woods, the guy you're shooting at gets a +4 on his defense. If you're in the woods, your morale goes up by +2. The trees make you feel safe. You're a lot braver when you've got old Treebeard breathing down your neck. I also want to draw your attention to this combat maneuver chart. If you want to run, you can double your speed, and it's a +2 on the maneuver roll, meaning on a 9 or better. Our column over here can run 9 centimeters. But if you fail, oh, they can only move 3/4 of normal. Well, wait a minute. That's all the faster they're going to move anyway. Special may not move within 3 centimeters of a nearby enemy. There are some other ones here we'll take a look at. If you charge and you're successful, now that's a little hard getting guys to do that. You're at -2. On a 13 or higher, we can move twice, but our melee attack gets a bonus of D6 -2 if we're on foot. And our first mention of mounted, D10 -2. If you're not successful, you just move as normal. There's no bonuses, but you have to move. That's one of the things. What else we got? You can climb, swim, fire, and move. This is important. We talked about that. In the basic game, you either have to shoot or move. Well, here, if you can beat that maneuver with your unit, you can make a missile attack at -2 and then move half. Or you can move half and make a missile attack at -2. But you're only moving half speed. But hey, at least it gives you the option of doing a little, stick and move. And particularly for the cavalry, that may be the way you want to go. To start turn number 1, the elite swordsmen of Culm are going to try to run. Remember, they need a 9 or better to do so. They're going to be able to move a total of 9 centimeters, which will bring them all the way up to here. They can start up to 8 centimeters onto the battlefield. And because I'm using the movement trays, we're going to kind of, have to be careful about our movement. Just everybody's snugged up. That's the way it goes. There are 7 guys in the file. And in order to track damage, this is where things get a little awkward. I've got 3 groups of 7. So we're going to call it left, right, and, well, let's actually call this the left-hand side, the center, and the right. Whenever anybody is hit, I'll roll a d8, and on a result of an 8, it's going to hit the boss man. You may be a little bit confused. Well, wait a minute. The boss man is not within the fire arc of our hero. It's all right. This is all simultaneous. This is turn number 1. I will be tracking the turn numbers with this big black die, the D20. It's off screen for now, but it's there. It's helping me keep track. The hero of the Acheron here is Hansor, and he rolls a D6 and a D10. He has a range of 20 centimeters. For every range band, every additional range band, he is at -2. Because he's firing from ambush, he gets a +4 this time, and he's going to need it. Because the defensive 8 with the +4 shield bonus means he needs to roll a 13 on a D10 plus a D6. Unless he gets a 1 on the death die, they call it, in which case it's an automatic hit. He's going to hit 1 out of 6 times. Unless this is also a 1, so you can reduce the odds a little bit there. It gets a little bit complicated. Unfortunately for him, his longbow only does low ×2 +2. He's going to do 4 points of damage to the second man in line. And then, so what did I say? 4 points of damage. And I'll just cross those boxes right off. And that's going to be the end of turn number 1. We advance to turn number 2 on the shot clock. And we can just roll once again. 3d6. Do they manage to run? They don't. And that means they're only going to be able to move 4.5 centimeters. So to 14.5 takes them to right here. We still have a line of sight, so we can make a second attack without the +4. Looking for a 13, we get a 12, and that's going to be a miss. Repeating the process for turn number 3. There we go. That's why I like spin down dice. The boys attempt to maneuver. They score a 10, which means they'll be able to move another 9 centimeters. Well, let's see. I guess 9 would be to right about there at the first bend. So 9 centimeters takes them to right about here. And because they're in column, they can move a little something like that. And we're ready for, well, there's no shot here. As you can see, we've got a couple more heroes standing by here and here, but we're going to wait until we no longer have that range band. In fact, as soon as the Acheron get to within, we get past these woods, we're going to be able to light them up with a whole lot more shots. So on turn number 4, they're going to try to move. They get the 666s. As I said, this is turn number 4. And then we'll move them for turn number 5 as well. 9 centimeters will take them to here. So they come screaming up the valley. And this is going a little quicker than I expected. I got to be honest with you. And now, are they within 20 centimeters of the first hero? They're not. So we're going to give them one more turn. And this, as I said, is turn number 5. They get an 11, and they'll be able to move another 9 centimeters. That'll put them right about here. We're going to hold off on the Rockfall until the next turn. And we are going to be able to, we got them zeroed in, man, hitting them from 3 different angles. 3 different heroes have 3 different stat lines. I'm going to do the one I know first. And I'm just going to go ahead and roll. So we're on turn number 6 now, aren't we? Turn number 6. There we go. So I'm just going to go ahead and roll. So 6 is on top. I'm going to roll the D8 at the same time. We need to get a 13, and we do. All right, this is good news. The 4th man in the file, that's this guy right here, takes all 10 damage. Let's get a little more light on that guy. Low times 2 plus 2 is 12. He only has the 9 hit points, so he's going to fall out. Now, they will fall in, so I'm going to take one of these guys off, and I guess that's going to change the math here just a little bit, isn't it? In fact, why don't we go ahead and fall in like this just to keep the numbers about the same. We remove one guy. And oh, by the way, I was wrong. I kept saying it was 7 guys. They got to get 12 off. They're down to 20, so 8 more, and they're really going to be in some trouble, aren't they? The 12 gets eliminated, and there we go. But before they hit that, they may have to make some morale checks. We have 2 more shots. This is our hero Dolon, and he rolls a d6 plus a d10 plus 1, but because he is firing his first shot from ambush, he is at plus 5 altogether. And you could argue, so he obviously hits, and he's going to do low times 2 plus 2, 8 points of damage. Now you could argue, well, given the direction that he's firing, oh, you know what? These guys their defense goes down by 1 because they're in column when you shoot at them. You get an extra plus 1. Might have been a little bit more damage that I forsook. That was forsaken in one of those turns. It's all right. So we do 8 points of damage, and I forgot to roll. So who do we do 8 points of damage to? The last man in line. That's going to leave him with just 2 points of damage left. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But morale is by unit now, not by individual guy. And I think this means I need to change how I'm keeping track of this. I'm going to just cross off a different guy. Okay. I got 1 more shot. Again, I could probably argue that I should be rolling D4 to figure out which one of these guys gets shot, but I that's a little too... I'm not going to be quite that obnoxious about it. So we get a 9 plus the 4 plus the 1 is 14. That's going to be another hit. We hit the 3rd guy in line, and we do a total of 8 points of damage to him. And so we've got a couple of guys that have taken a beating. And I suppose we might be able to open fire with that other unit, but I'm going to wait. Because as we move to turn number 7, the Karens try to race ahead, and they do. They're going to move 9. And at the end of the movement, they're going to be, so we'll go like 3 and then probably something like this. Snaking or, oh, wait a minute. Once they hit this point, we trigger the Rockfall. So they move 2, and then all the rest of their movement, actually they're only going to be able to move a quarter of their speed this time. So instead of 9, they're going to be moving at about 2.5. So they're going to only get to right there until the last man gets past the Rockfall, because Rockfall goes boom. And here's where the real carnage happens. When setting up, the Karen player secretly denotes, this is what I'm reading right down here, secretly denotes the location of a 2-inch by 2-inch, well, okay, it's actually 4 by 4 centimeter, 2 by 2, well, maybe that was a little big, it's 2.5 centimeters, more than 8 inches from the western edge. Use a method described in Rule 1. The area is trapped. Landslide, it does a melee attack of 5d6 plus 1, medium times 2 minus 2, which affects all within the trapped area. Afterwards, it slows movement to 1/4. Of course, it can only be used once. All right. That means we're going to make a single d5 D6, 5d6. And hoping we don't get 2 1s because that means everybody misses. And kind of a terrible roll there. It's gonna barely do the trick. We get a 13, which hits. Do I need to roll for each individual person, or do I just take that and apply it to everybody within the area of effect? We're waiting until the leader gets by because we want to maximize the effect. So we'll do it right there, okay? That means we're going to be hitting these 9 guys, and it'll be 2, 3, and 4 for all 3 files, all 3 of these groups. Total of 9 guys. Take, what did we say? It was medium times 2. So what's our medium? Well, this is our high, and this is our medium. So medium times 2 is 8. This didn't do nearly as much damage as I thought it would. Medium times 2 is 4 times 2 minus 2. So 6 points of damage to these guys right here. That will eliminate the 2 previously wounded figures. 3 down, just 7 more to go. And they're going to be moving pretty slow. That happens on the Acheron turn. It happens on the Culm turn. We get 3 shots with these 3 guys to see what damage we can do. Let me move the extraneous dice out of the way. It's still turn number 7. So plenty of time left on the clock. Handsor is going to fire. I gotta move this tall one over here because I keep knocking these trees over. All right, Handsor. Let's turn him to face. He says pew pew, and he rolls the D6 plus the D10. He gets a 13, which is another hit. Low times 2 plus 2 is going to kill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm gonna re-roll the 8. I get the 7, and it's going to knock off another guy. That's the kind of shooting we want to see. Good job, Handsor. Dolon is going to be D6 plus a D10 plus 2 because of the bonus for shooting at a nice big fat target. So with a total of plus 2, he's going to get a 10. That's going to be a miss. And then over here, we have Neron, who, he's rolling a D6 plus a D10, and he also has a plus 2. He gets a 13, which is a hit. Let's turn his buddy around to face the right direction. 13 hits and does low times 2 plus 2. That is another 12 points of damage. And we could just completely randomize it at this point. Maybe I'll just roll a d20. He's firing high, dropping it in, and I could just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And let's just roll the d20. And on a 19 or a 20, we'll just re-roll. So with a result of a 7, boy, it doesn't take that much time to track these guys individually. I thought it was going to be way worse. This is why we play the games, to find out how the games are played. So number 7 in line is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is on the right column. Number 2 takes 7. And wouldn't you know it, that is going to take him off the board. Because remember the second row was damaged by the Rockfall. So that takes us to casualty number 5. Why do we only have 4 crossed off here? Probably because I forgot to cross off that guy. On turn number 8, they're going to try to run once again. They're just trying to get to reinforce. They get it. Now, moving at double speed, because they're trying to get past the rock pile, means they're really only going to be able to move at half speed. Remember, they were normally moving at 6.5, so they're really only going to be able to move at like 3.5 now. I forgot when they were done moving before, they would have been able to move to somewhere like right about there. So the 3.5 will get them to right here. These last few guys are still, we'll just go ahead and put it right there. We'll say, yeah, they got past the Rockfall. It basically slowed them down. No, they're going to have one more turn. We're going to move them into quarter speed for one more turn. That is going to allow the this is too far. He's going to have to come down the slope. And because of that, he can move down slope 8 centimeters, but he can't fire. That's the best he can do. Then And that's because as an individual, he's not part of a unit. He doesn't have a commander whipping him into shape. So poor old hand sewer over here. He'll be able to fire next turn, but for right now, all he can do is get a slightly better shot. Dolan, with the D10 and the D5, will get a shot off, and with the 3, but a 1 on the death die, he automatically hits. It's only going to do 4 points of damage, low times 2 plus 2, but that 4 might make all the difference in the world. Because we're down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm going to roll a D6 now, and as the numbers get lower, the likelihood that we hit the big boy, the boss man, goes up. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's going to hit guy number 3 in line. 1, 2, 3, who is so far unhurt. Well, he's taking 4 points of damage now. And whittling them down is probably going to help because remember we have one more unit that can really unload on them near the end. We get a total of a 9 plus 10 for the skill plus another 1 is 11. That's going to be a miss. And we move on to turn number 11. As I said, these guys are still stuck in the Rockfall, so they're trying to get out of there. And we roll 3d6, looking for a 9. They get it. Boy, these guys are really good at making these rolls. They'll have to move 4 centimeters. Oh, 3.5 is all they got. So now they're finally free of the Rockfall. And it occurs to me that if I snug these guys up really good, I might be able to squeeze them all onto this one template. There we go. Look at that. Except for this little straggler back here. But he may wind up closing up in a little bit. So there we go. That shows you where the Rockfall was. And of course, he's not going to be able to get past the Rockfall. He's going to have to go around it. So it might slow him down as well. But we'll wait and see. The Mr. Dolan here will take a shot. He gets a 10, 11, 12. That's a miss. Remember, you need a 13. And Mr. Neron is going to fire off. He gets a 1 and an 8. He will do 4 more points of damage. Rolling a d6 to see who he hits. 1, 2, 3. That's number 2. He does another 4 points of damage to... Oh, that guy, number 2, had already taken a couple of points. I'm going to take this last guy off. The spearmen have lost 6 of their 21. They're down to 15. If they lose 3 more guys, then they're... Well, let's see. Yeah, no, there's 12. Yeah, 3 more guys, 4 more guys, including the leader. But now things get a little bit trickier because after they move, it's turn number 12. And things are really going to get fun here, I think. Turn number 12. There we go. The relief force still trying to make their way. They get a 12, so they will be able to move 9 centimeters to... We'll snake them along to right about there, and that's going to be it for them. And now things get fun. Are they still within range of this guy? Now, he can take the shot at an additional -2. It's going to be a miracle shot, unless he wants to move again. So we'll take the shot, looking for a 1, 12, 13, 14... would be a hit, but because he's at long range -2, he's going to miss. Handsore's not all that great. Dolan over here is facing the same issue. He is beyond 20 centimeters, so if he wants to run down his full movement of 8 centimeters, he can get down to right about there, and he's in clear terrain now, so he may be able to pursue these guys, get 1 more movement, a couple more shots, but that's about it. And because this guy is firing through the long terrain, no bueno. He's only going to be able to move 3/4, so he's got to reposition himself over here to start taking shots later on. But that's not it for the Akarans. Malon positioned his force right here, hoping to get the charge off. He's going to try to charge these guys into the flank. Now he, as a leader, don't take my word for it. Take the rules writer's word for it. He's got a +1 to his maneuver. He's a really good leader. He's got an influence range of 10 inches. I could have put him on the other side of the road and still had him show some influence. The key thing here is that he can use his +1 maneuver modifier. These guys have a maneuver of 8. So if we want to charge, they need to roll a 10 to get the charge off. If they do that, though, the charge is at -2, so we need to get a 12 or better in order to charge into the remnants of this column, who, let's face it, they are some pretty brave guys for running this gauntlet for us. We run those numbers again just to make sure I'm getting it right. They need their maneuver is an 8, so they need a 9. He gives them a +1, they need an 8. Then the charge is at -2, so they actually need an 11 in order to pull this off. With a result of an 8, they're not going to make it. They're only going to be able to move 5.5 centimeters to right there. And then on the next turn, I think they will be able to charge into these guys, but it's their turn on turn number 13. They're going to try to run once again, and with a result of an 8, they fail. So unfortunately for them, they might have wanted to turn. They're only going to be able to move the 4.5 centimeters. Boy, when it really counted, huh? And in this case, we get to decide what happens. So we're going to do our shooty, take the 2 shots. We get a result of a 9, not it. And then we're going to take a second shot. We really need a big number here. We get a 13, which will hit, and it will eliminate one more guy. Rolling a d6 to find out who. 1, 2, 3, it will eliminate one of the near spearmen like that. All right, that's it for the bow fire. Then, because these guys are on the flank, they can rush in, and we get to make 5 melee combats. I am going to rule. These guys have the shield bonus. They all get to turn. It's not quite a flank attack because all of the normal like skirmish rules apply here. But it's going to be a 5-on-5. And one of these attacks is going to be the leader on a scrub. So here's where things slow down considerably. So to start things off, I've got 4 men attacking at 3d6 +2. All of the same rules apply. Ooh, that's going to be devastating. Because our damage for the Akaran attackers is going to be high. 17 points of damage, and we'll just go from left to right like we're reading a book. Now, the Fallen gets a simultaneous attack. Then the second attack will score us a 9, and that will be a miss. We still need to roll a 13 in order to hit. The next attack will be a miss with the snake eyes. Double ones is always a miss. And then we get a result of a 9. And, man, you know, they're actually at +2 on this one. So this 9 becomes an 11. That's still a miss. And I think we have one more attack. We get a 10, 11, 12. We need a 13, so that's a failure. The last attack is going to be the boss man with a falchion. He's at 2d6 plus a d10 +2. He gets a total of 10. Well, he hits on the death die, so he automatically hits. And his damage is high +2. That's 11. That means this guy is also going down. Now, the guy killed by our leader gets to attack the leader back. Malin is going to have to eat a 3d6 +2. This is with the broadsword. Malin has a defense of 11, a shield bonus of 4. He needs a 15. Better hope that black die comes up. He gets a total result of a 12, 13, 14, just misses. That's the end of that combat. Then the other Fallen gets to make an attack, but because he is attacking a line trooper, he is going to be, you know, it occurs to me, how many casualties do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, 2 more casualties, and we have to start rolling for morale checks, except you know what? The game might be over here because we lost this guy. But let's go ahead and give him his chance to get revenge before he dies, shall we? With a 4, 5, and a 2, that is an 11. We are looking for a total defense, against a total defense of 9. The 10 is going to be a hit. That's going to be high +2. This fella here, and we'll call him number 1, he is going to suffer high +2, 7 points of damage. He only has 9 endurance, so he has 2 hit points left. And then we have 3 more attacks left. One against 2, 3, and 4, actually. That's our front row. So again, looking for a 9. Snake Eyes is a miss. And then we have a second attack, which will be a hit for 7 points of damage against guy number 3. And then we need one more attack against guy number 4. That is also going to be a hit. That's going to do 8 points of damage. And that will actually kill the guy here on the far side. So we'll take him off. And we'll move a guy in the back up to there. And that will be it for the turn. Lord Duru is down to just 13 men. He needs to try to disengage. This is a difficult combat maneuver because we have a total of 3 guys presently engaged, maybe 5, because there's 5 if we actually filled in, but we didn't. Instead of filling in, he says, we got to get out of here. And so on that maneuver, you're at -1 per adjacent enemy combatant. And if you're successful, you only move 4.5 centimeters. Man, I don't think this is going to work out for him well at all. We get a total of 10, which at the -3 means we're going to fail, but they do get +2 on their defense. And it says when you fail, if you're successful, the adjacent foes attack, and then you move successfully. If you're not successful, then you're at +2 to your disengager's defense, which I think means, well, let me just take a look at the rules here. You may immediately move normally. Otherwise, each adjacent enemy combatant facing may make an immediate attack, and the disengager's defense is +2. In other words, we're trying to get away. We're defending ourselves, but it's not working out so well. So we have 1, 2, 3 attacks that are all going to be facing a total defense of 16. And this is why I kind of did that. So we really are just looking for a 1 on the death die or like really high results. And we didn't get any of them. So all 3 of those, no effect. It becomes the Karen, their turn. And I think I might have moved. I forgot to move this guy, didn't I? So I guess old Hansor was kind of laid up. So he's going to come down to about there. That's as close as he can get. He's still too far away. Oh, yeah, he fired at -2. That's what it was. He's going to be moving at a quarter speed until he can get around the Rockfall. So he's kind of out of the fight, I think. But these 2 guys are both close enough that they're going to get some shots in. So we fire, and we get a 5 for him, and we get a 12 for him, and we needed a 13, which means we're going to make 3 attacks now. And I think now we really do have to bring in, we'll bring these guys in. Just fill in the gaps there. So we've got our 5 attacks. And this time, I'm going to go ahead and start with the big man. He's got the 2d6 plus a d10 plus 3. And with a result of 13, that will be a hit. He does high plus, the guy he's fighting is undamaged. So he does high +2. He will do 7 points of damage. Not enough to kill him. So that's in the line 1, 2, 3, 4. So he does, what did I say, 7 points of damage, leaving that guy with 2 points left. Then I've got 4 more attacks at d6 plus 2. We are looking to beat we need to score 13. So the first one will hit, and with 13 points, it'll kill that guy, leaving the relief force with just, oh boy. Oh, this guy's kind of the MVP, ain't he? A couple of kill shots right off the bat. Number 2 is going to, all he needs to do is 2 points of damage, and I think that'll do it. There's our 14. You know, in battle order, am I forgetting something here? If you're in battle order, oh, you're at +2 to attack and defense. So that's the, oh, you know, these guys are way worse. And no, it's +2, +2. So it's kind of negating, right? These guys are at +2. These guys are at +2. It doesn't make a difference. The high +2 is going to do 8 points of damage. That kills the last guy. And now because the relief force is down to just 11, even if all of them get off the table, they're not going to be able to provide enough support for the bridge that they were racing to, well, I mean, the relief force is not going to be able to relieve the force that they're trying to relieve. Total failure for the poor old forces of and I get it backwards all the time. The forces of Culm, they just weren't able to do it. They hot-footed it pretty good, but the Rockfall spelled their doom. And maybe that's a reflection of, in retrospect, if I was to do this again, I would probably set it up where I set up your defenders first and then roll for the strategy. I may have kind of inadvertently, and by the way, that was turn number 15, so the guys moved faster than I thought. Maybe I inadvertently cheated and planned around one big column. If there had been 3 columns of troops moving, this might have gone very differently. It might have forced all our ambushers to focus their attention on the first 2. I might have deployed differently if it was different. So I guess you could, I'll accept that as a valid criticism. But ultimately, I got to hand it to the guys at Iron Crown Enterprises. This is a very well-designed scenario with a lot of interesting wrinkles. A lot of complicated terrain elements that I don't typically deal with. And although I don't think it's a very good, let's call it an introduction to the advanced game, I think it's a very clever scenario. I'm looking forward to seeing what else this game has to offer. And I'm still not entirely sure that the mass units work very well, but I don't think this is a good scenario for judging that, just because of how limited your options are as far as strategy for the guys trying to get across the board. Works well as a solo scenario, but maybe one of these other like 12. There's like 20 scenarios with this rule set. That's a lot of really good content, and if they're all as well designed as this, I think I'm going to enjoy it. I know we glossed over a lot of the changes in the way the rules work, but you guys are advanced. You guys know what you're doing. You've been playing these games long enough. I think you can see how this game differs from the standard miniature war game, and where it's kind of very similar. So I think we'll leave it there until next time. I'm praying for you.